Welcome to this week's episode of Ask WWN. This is episode number 6 in this podcast series. Remember, this podcast series is designed to answer questions sent in from our viewers, fans, and really just anybody. Well, to begin, our first question is, are show appearance bonuses the same no matter what program they appear on? Raw, SmackDown, Superstars, Main Event? Well, it's an interesting question. Well, the answer? If a worker is used on a WWE show, whether it is a live event, well, that isn't televised, or one of the programs you mentioned, they are paid $500 show bonus. Pay-per-view bonuses are different because workers get a portion of the buy rate, but the $500 bonuses is a flat fee used for all shows. Our next question is, where is Evan Bourne? We heard that Evan Bourne was interested in returning at SummerSlam, but was told that he wasn't needed. And obviously WWE is planning to give him another shot at the main roster, but I do not have a date as of this writing, or obviously of this podcast. Between Bray Wyatt and Curtis Axel, who do you think has more success so far since coming to the main event roster? And this, of course, is our next question. Well, if you look at the fact that Curtis Axel is the WWE Champion and currently in the main event angle with CM Punk, you would have to say him. But, however, I can't label Curtis Axel a success because I do not feel it has worked out as well so far as WWE has planned. Well, Bray Wyatt, obviously he is more over, and I think that he has a much bigger, higher ceiling at this point. But, I am a fan of Joe Henning, Curtis Axel. But it'd be very delusional for me to sit here and write that his push in WWE has worked. I mean, that I can't say that because it's just not right. Well, our last question is, edgier and more realistic storylines usually translate to entertaining programming. Has there been any talk of using Darren Young's sexuality in storyline? Well, an interesting question here. You are correct that in edgier and more realistic storylines are more entertaining when the lines of what is scripted and what is real are blurred. Storylines are the most successful. Those are. However, there are lines that shouldn't be crossed, and to incorporate Darren Young's sexuality in his gimmick, it would mean the antagonist would play the role of a homophobe. And, well, I'm 100% against that. But, the pro wrestling business has destroyed stereotypes. And, in reaction to Darren Young coming out and the fact that WWE had to turn the primetime players babyface speaks volumes about the acceptance of the audience. This is something as a fan that I'm maybe extremely proud of, or maybe you're extremely proud of, but there is no reason to ruin that with an immature and discriminatory angle to get really cheap heat. On the same token, though, I find with characters such as Triple H and Ryback playing the role of a bully, I'm fine with that, and it's really just a case-to-case basis. And however, stuff like homophobia, racism, it should just be left alone. Shouldn't be crossed. And I'm sure most of you agree with that. Well, that was this week's episode of Ask WWN. If you have a question, tweet us a question over there at W Wrestling News using the hashtag AskWWN, or you can pop us an email there at worldwrestlingcompany.net@gmail.com. And of course, remember to check out our official website, worldwrestlingnews.com. And of course, this is Michael Burgess, your host. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast episode, and see you later.